Horrific flooding, a loss of life or two as well, which is just awful.
Taking it to the streets.
The relative peace and order of these protests will soon be replaced by something else.
It's better for you, and it's better for the planet.
Fucking hell.
The times were very bad now was because of a kind of disintegration of hope. Do you see a way out of that?
Now, before... Woo! This is not part of the show. This is not part of the show. Do you know what? Hey!
I'm William.
Hi, William.
You did a bigger version of William last week.
Do you know what?
We tell you about my grandchildren.
I absolutely
Here they are.
shit myself.
Here's Ivy, 3 years old. She's just beginning.
Oh, I'm not allowed. Okay.
Wow.
Wow. So,
Laughing.
I'm going to say it. We said on the show last week, if that's what every Just Stop Oil protest is like, I'm down with it.
Yeah.
If it's people coming out smiling and throwing orange confetti, absolutely bring it on.
The highest temperature ever measured in Britain was recorded at Heathrow Airport this afternoon. It reached 37.9 degrees Celsius, or more than 100 Fahrenheit, breaking the previous record set in Cheltenham in 1990.
Miller, Nick, I'm just seeing now that 2010 apparently was the world's second hottest year on record after 1998. Yeah. You wouldn't think it.
You wouldn't think it. But this global warming trend...
Experts say it's partly because of man-made climate change. It's being called Britain's Blue Belt. 23 new areas around our coastline. Well, there we are. That was the big picture scientific stuff. Let's go a little bit closer to home. Here's Laura with the details. Some people might welcome a rise in Britain's temperatures over the next couple of decades or so, but...
This graph from the Met Office shows temperature since 1850, fluctuating compared to the long-term average, but gradually rising right up to the record high set last year. Temperature rises are getting close to the limit set by the Global Climate Agreement adopted in Paris last year. Scientists, though, say this year's temperatures were boosted by the El Niño weather event. Welcome to Newsday. I'm Sharon Duke-Lale in Singapore. The headlines. What lies ahead for our ever-warming planet? Scientists say last year was one of the hottest recorded on Earth, even without El Niño.
It's set to be the hottest day of the year today. It comes as new figures show how the UK is getting warmer over the long term, just as climate change experts have warned.
The report says last year was the world's second hottest on record, and scientists say average temperatures for 2010 to 2019 have made it the hottest decade on record.
Well, last year was the warmest on record for Europe, and the last 6 years were the hottest across the world. That's according to a new report about the state of the climate released by the European climate service Copernicus.
It's 7 o'clock. I'm Jonathan Samuels, live from the COP26 in Glasgow, where world leaders have been warned of the price of inaction, but given hope of a solution.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us for a very special panel of broadcaster CEOs this morning, coming together to discuss how they're collaborating on the climate change emergency.
But I think there's a collective responsibility on us as CEOs, like, because we're in a position of power, because we have the ability to put things in the media that influence consumer behaviour, right? And I sort of think you hear that in different ways from all of us, because we have to look at the facts and what our responsibilities are as running businesses, but we're running particular businesses. The question is now, what can we do to influence the behaviour of the population? Because we have the ability to do that. We have to do it in the right way.
We've been dumping our rubbish into landfill since the Middle Ages. And with the UK rapidly running out of space, we need to find a more environmentally friendly way to get rid of it. So I've come to Buckinghamshire to find out how one company is turning our non-recyclable rubbish into energy that can power our homes and businesses.
The effects of climate change are already pretty apparent, and that's with just a 1 degree rise in temperature. Trouble is, temperatures are expected to keep on rising.
But I didn't think cleaning windows was in the job description.
Clean it? Yeah. I can feel the intensity of that fire. It's terrible. Right, you happy?
That's spot on.
Lovely jubbly. Wow.
And so we can have an influence worldwide. And there's two things we can do worldwide. One is through our programming on screen.
The Morrisons fitted solar panels to their house to produce electricity. Zoe reuses old clothes as cleaning cloths and bought what they needed in bulk to save on packaging.
I don't think any leader or any organisation shouldn't be using their power to contribute to that change. Simple as that.
If we don't change the way we're living, it's going to get much worse.
Food production accounts for around a quarter of all global greenhouse gases. The other 75% is created by transportation, mainly flying and road vehicles, gas and electricity use, and it's in these areas that we, as consumers, need to cut down to be greener.
We need a certain proportion of the population to step up, to step forward and to say, I'm going to make that change.
Look out, rubbish. Littlewood's after you.
Do you think enough is being done right now?
I think we're really grappling with the issue, and I think there's obviously more that we could do. But clearly, the Prime Minister's 10-point plan has shown that there are lots and lots of things that we can do, things like increasing offshore wind capacity, increasing renewables, getting coal off the system, upgrading homes. There are lots and lots of initiatives that we're driving that I think are going to do a lot to deal with this issue.
This next period is now critical to see whether leaders at every level, internationally, globally, but also CEOs, can deliver on these net zero targets that they've all set. We've got power. We're running organisations where we can lead, and to the point, the question now is being held to account.
When you picture the future of green energy, this probably isn't the first image that comes to mind.
Well, it's great to be in Scotland to strengthen our energy security with more licences for the North Sea. But what is important then is that we get that oil and gas in the best possible way. And that means getting it from here at home. Better for our energy security, not reliant on foreign dictators.
Now, the UK is a net importer of gas, but even before the invasion of Ukraine, Russia provided just 4% of our gas in the UK. Most of our gas imports come from not very hostile Norway. How much of it stays here in the UK? Well, about 20% of North Sea oil is for domestic UK consumption. Most of it, 80%, is exported worldwide into the international market. And that's why the government's critics say we're already extracting more oil than we need and selling it overseas, and they argue that's no good for the planet. We asked the government to clarify or provide the data to back up these claims. They did not. Instead, they referred us to the Prime Minister's comments today in Aberdeen, which of course repeat those very claims.
There are huge challenges. This challenge can seem impossible, and you can take more of a fatalistic view on it. But we've got to bring hope and accessibility and practical ideas for what to do, just to bring things to life for people. But the good news is that we've been doing it all together for many decades. TV is very good at normalising things, at bringing them to life, at making the complex simple, etc., etc.
Anybody can make a great dish out of exotic ingredients. Your job today is to make a dish from scraps and leftovers. You will have 90 minutes to cook us one dish.
John, we just gave them things to cook with that most people clear out of their fridges before they go shopping again. And look at the dishes they made.
I'm with you. I think there were some great cooks. There was a couple in here who just blew it out of the water.
Oh, there's lots over here. There's lots. I think you're going to need a bigger bag, Rob.
It essentially just drives like an electric car.
Well, that's what a hydrogen car is. It's just storing its energy in different ways. A normal electric car conventionally has a battery. This stores hydrogen and then uses a fuel cell to convert it. You have a tank out the back, and you can fill this thing up like you would a petrol car. It's a liquid, so fill it up, away you go, a couple of minutes, 400 miles of range. Try that in an electric car.
Into all of our programming, How do we deal with that in a mindful way so that those people don't switch off? They're still on board and they begin to engage in the subject more.
Yeah. We need to eat more veg and we need to start now.
Come on! You know it makes sense.
It's better for you and it's better for the planet.
I'm going to cook veggies in a way that are going to make you so happy.
Basically, we know that our pollinators are really in trouble. They're in huge decline. But we could all do a little bit and make such a huge difference.
No, we can do this together in a way that isn't hectoring and isn't patronising, but is practical and warm and uplifting, I think.
So the Prime Minister says 1 minute to midnight. That's not right. It can't always be 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 1 minute to midnight. It's 5 past midnight. We've already left this too late.
As long as no one gets hurt, and as long as, then I think sometimes you need to anger some people.
I don't want to compromise on the flavour. No way, Jose.
No meat, but no compromise.
Enough talking. Straight in the mouth.
It is this very anxiety-inducing thing about reality happening on screen, and people don't know quite what to do about it. Anxiety is about control. If you feel you can control something, you feel that you can do something about it, you feel a lot better about it. So how do we as broadcasters give normal people the ability to feel that they can control things, that no matter how small the thing they do, your point, they are contributing to the greater good?
So using this is completely unforgivable. There are so many of this type of bottle around. This is a Chili's one from Skinny Dip, about £15. This cup is not only a reusable cup, it's made from reusable cups. So it's made from used cups, so it's brilliant. And the Stojo one from Amazon at £9.99. These things are so accessible. It is unforgivable not to be taking them everywhere you go.
And so what we're trying to do, I think, is in a very unlecturing, non-hectoring way.
To do it in a way that's not lecturing or hectoring.
Because I think Sky just did a report on nudge theory about consumers, and what they say is 80% of them are convinced this is the right thing, but they don't want to be lectured at. They want to be influenced and they want to participate in this.
Time to go green and find out about a growing trend with more and more people giving it a go. The only way is up for vertical gardening.
Driven by the urgency of climate change, vertical gardens, or living walls as they're sometimes called, are a growing trend. Build your own vertical garden, both inside and out.
So there we have it, all these gorgeous plants have stacked together to really jazz up what was previously a rather boring fence.
Greta Thunberg is one of the most influential voices in the world, still determined as ever and still just 19 years old.
I think the other thing we can do is inspire, finally. I mean, I do think, you know, our youthful natural history presenter, your colleague, Sir David, you know, at 95 knocking out Green Planet.
She is a bit of a hero to many, especially you girls doing what you do. So did she live, and people say don't meet your heroes, did she live up to your expectations?
She's Bella Lack, she's 17 years of age. In comparisons, Bella, they say you're Britain's Greta Thunberg.
So she's doing this for the message. It's not about ego at all. She has no interest in the press. She has no interest in being this leader. She is a figurehead for our movement, but that's really just because we find her inspirational. I think she wants to be a striker like anyone else.
And so when you think back to that 15-year-old girl that stood outside Parliament, even personally you've come in the...
When you were you sometimes harshly, how much pressure is that on you?
How does that feel personally?
We never thought that it would be possible to do anything like that. And we just thought that since we have the opportunity to do something, it is also our moral duty to go out and act. Someone needs to take action, and we are someone. So then we just did it. We didn't count on it having any consequences and so on. We just did it.
Is that how you see yourself?
Actually, no, I don't, because often the media, they do this a lot with young activists. They sort of conflate every young activist with Greta Thunberg, and I think it's a bit of sensationalism in a way. It's sort of a climate activist reality show. So, I mean, I understand it's an easy title to put on there.
Have you met her? Have you met Greta, Bella?
No.
Jess Search asks, focus on consumer behaviour is worthwhile, but everyone knows we can't get close to climate safety without huge system change, and that's about communicating to people as citizens, not consumers. Will nervousness of political engagement, with a small p, prevent you all from getting to the heart of it? Big question.
This COP cannot succeed in doing what is actually necessary because it isn't asking the right question. Whereas the actual question that is being asked here is, how can we carry on having endless economic growth and having more fossil fuels and save the climate? And the answer is very simple. We can't.
Something has to be done, and obviously very quickly.
It always seems that the blame somehow is laid at our door, isn't it? Like we said, have you got the right boiler? Are you doing the proper recycling? Are you going to get an electric car?
When really such a global crisis requires a global response.
If you say to people you can't have foreign holidays, you can't have your car, whatever it is, that's something, Camilla, the electorate mightn't swallow. But Matthew, it's like almost we've got to go to Brazil and we've got to say to the Brazilian government, right, we will pay you to keep the Amazon forest. We will pay you not to populate that, not to burn that down.
And you're absolutely right to say we should pay for it, because if you put the debate in a sort of geo-historical perspective, we in Britain have enjoyed all the benefits of burning fossil fuels right at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. It's enabled us to become a country with a very wealthy country with wealthy individuals. And it seems very unfair to tell developing nations like India, you've got to stop right now. You can't enjoy any of the benefits that we had from burning fossil fuels because it's bad for the planet.
The right questions would be, for example, how do we actually build a future which is good for people and planet?
Chiamate qualcuno, chiami i vigili del fuoco, c'è una signora dove c'è il box, chiedono aiuto, alla prima casa, vedete la...
Talking about Just Stop Oil protesters, quote, they are driven by an arrogant and false belief that they alone care about the environment, while the people affected by their protests must be cured of their complacency and ignorance. That's at the nub of it, isn't it? They're alienating people who otherwise support the argument.
I still think their tactics are counterproductive. I think they lose people.
It's irritating, I think, that the police have to be distracted by this.
The message is out there. There is climate change. Something has to be done.
But some of the tactics...
It's not fair. They've come for a day out. It won't advance their cause.
Let them have their say, but please less disruption.
There's a danger element here, because if you're hitting a boundary, that ball travels a long way. You could hit someone.
Can we just get some perspective and contrast those inconveniences with those that we're seeing in Canada at the moment? It's on fire.
We have tried all legitimate means at our disposal. We have lobbied our MPs. We have signed petitions. We have written letters. We have done everything we can.
I think that protest has to be disruptive. These people are determined, and I applaud them for that, because they're really passionate, because they believe these people are terrified that our children, our grandchildren, are not going to have a planet that is worth living on. If you genuinely believe that, and they've got every right to believe it, every credit to them for taking it this far.